ladies and gentlemen, Emma Arnaz-Pemberton.
So let's get into it. Today we're going to talk about humans. Humans and the PMO, and really starting to think about understanding where the deficits are in our PMO. And many times, we believe at Wellingtone, is because we actually don't focus on the humans enough. So we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to talk about one of the key mindset changes that we want PMOs to make, and that is the PMO as a service provider. So we're going to learn a little bit about what that means. We're going to also look at something that some of you might not have heard before in the context of the PMO and project management, and that's customer experience management. We're going to understand how that can help your PMOs and learn how to bring some of those customer engagement principles to life. So we're going to get into it. Depending on timings, we might take questions, we might not. We're just going to wing it and see what happens. So at Wellingtone, you already know this, we're very passionate about community. That's why you're all here, to learn, share and grow, which is our tagline for this event. One of the things that we do as part of our community, we run several events every month that are completely free for people who are within our community, all on different topics. Some of those are not generic webinars that we're just kind of feeding information. Some of those are networking events, which means we are open and willing and able to start a conversation with our networks. One of the key questions that we asked at a recent networking event was, what is your biggest headache when it comes to PMO and really embedding that into your organizations? And we had on that call both PMO people and delivery people. And the key takeaway message, as you can see from this graph, is that value of PMO continues to elude us. It's really hard to answer the question, why do we exist? What's the point of view, is how it was once asked to my face. What is the point of view? I have perfectly good project and program managers, so what is the point of view? And it's actually quite a difficult question to answer. We believe at Wellingtone that the PMO needs to start making a change in mindset to becoming more of a service provider. And when we founded the Wellingtone Academy, we utilized our network to create a suite of courses that really sit around this aspect, seeing the PMO as a service provider. If you do that, all of a sudden you have consumers, people who consume your services. And if we acknowledge that servant leadership relationship, then the way that we think about our interactions and our relationships completely changes. If you imagine, as an organization, we don't go to market with a brand new product if we haven't done some market research. And yet, in the world of PMO and project management, we do that all the time. So we need to start thinking, instead of stakeholders, sponsors, project managers, project team members, we need to start considering them as PMO customers. Our customer groups start across 4 different areas. Delivery managers. Those are the people accountable, responsible, some of you in this room, for delivering projects and change. Those that are contributing to projects. So the team members, those guys that work in help desk that are always being given brand new bits of work for your projects to do. The leadership teams, and then the rest of the business. And that's a tricky one for PMOs to get their head around. Why do I need to talk to the rest of the business? Well, let me tell you, you're not going to win the APM's PMO of the Year award if no one knows that you exist. We need to start getting out there and seeing that actually everybody else could be a consumer. We only grow our business if we reach a wider consumer base. PMO is exactly the same, if we suddenly see ourselves as a service provider. In your reality, that set of groups might need someone else adding in, maybe procurement, maybe you need to talk to finance. We heard from Joel this morning about how important that link is between finance. So maybe they're customers of ours as well. Maybe they're not consuming the templates and the processes, but they are consuming our reports and the information and the data that we're able to gather. If we don't know who our customer base is, how can we possibly build PMOs that are going to truly add value to them? We can't. And this is where customer experience management can really, really help us. So yes, customer experience management is something that you've heard of, but it's used in marketing, not project management. But if you bear with me, we're going to explore how it can actually help your project management practice to get to that next level of maturity. Firstly, a superior customer experience strategy goes well beyond making products and services for an organization. It's about weaving a seamless web between customer-first activity and extending that from the vision to the executives into the internal workings of the organization. Loads of companies really struggle to align this way. They build goals, they create silos, functions that address individual touch points of the customer journey, but nothing in its entirety. And what they do is they leave some of that end-to-end experience to the internal teams, but they don't engage them in that process. So there are still companies who emphasize that we're very customer-centric externally, but actually they do that to the detriment of how the internal services are actually perceived. What that means in the world of PMO, and some of you might have experienced this, is they see those internal functions like PMO as a cost-cutting exercise or an opportunity. If we get to the end of the year and we're running a little bit low on cash, that's an easy thing to get rid of. I'm sure some of you have experienced that in the past, and certainly during the pandemic, we had a massive glut of PMOs that got disbanded effectively. On the flip side of that, we had a load of PMOs that stayed and became the calm in the chaos. So we can start to see that depending on your perspective will really make a difference as to how you do that. So successful organizations think more and more about their end-to-end process in terms of transformations that focus also on their internal customers, their employees, as well as those external ones. That gives them a real competitive edge. And it's really interesting because it's a fundamental culture change. And we know that that takes time. Efforts can take years, just like maturity in project management, in PMO, trying to establish benefits realization or agile ways of working. So rather than it being seen as this is a HR thing that we're doing and it's about employee satisfaction, we need to give it a little bit more priority and perspective to create that true culture where our sponsors and our executives are involved. The good news is that these efforts, when done well and ran in parallel with those external facing, can actually really deliver some interesting results. In fact, McKinsey have found that redesigning the customer journey, looking internally as well, can raise customer satisfaction scores by 15 to 20 points in their reviews. It can reduce the cost to serve by 15 to 20%, and it will boost employee engagement by up to 20%. So why should this not work for the PMO if we are, in fact, service providers with consumers? In short, the quality of the internal services ultimately has a direct impact on the experience of our external customers. In a competitive market for talent, which we are in, offering employees a seamless experience, a positive experience at work, really creates that customer-first culture, and it gives them a sense of ownership, and they feel proud to work for that and to do the best for their external customers. We have to consider here the human condition, that we want to be helpful humans. Most of us want to be helpful humans. We want to go to work to do good things. So if we give our teams the tools, they will then do good things with those tools. And the third thing is transforming that internal customer experience will not only increase the satisfaction of our employees, but it will also help us to cut costs, because it will help us to eliminate deficiencies in processes and even absences from work as well. So some core principles of customer experience management, which we need to weave into our project management and PMO practice. And if you're not sure how to do this, you always have your Wellingtone PMO principles to lean on, which kind of help you along this path as well. So first of all, speed. Speed and responsiveness determines the quality of the service provided. For project management and PMOs, this includes project inception, problem resolution, how we get our knowledge out of projects and into the organization. Accuracy. Besides being fast in delivering information and good service to our clients, then the information needs to be correct. We need to be a trusted source of truth. We need to know that the information we're providing is accurate. We have people who are trained in things like data validation, that we have people with attention to detail to make sure that nothing going out is ever going to be wrong. The third is clarity, and this deals with how information can be processed and provided. Simplicity is king. So it's never really received the respect it deserves, especially in project management, the clarity of information. We love our massive spreadsheets with 7,000 lines of data. The reality is, no one can read those any more than anyone can read our Gantt charts. We can read Gantt charts, nobody else can. So we need to really think about the clarity of data that we're sending. Number 4 is all about transparency. Simply put, when one is transparent, it means they're accountable, not just to themselves, but to the people around them. So we're going to be more open to feedback, to critique, to challenge. Then we have accessibility, and this is fundamental, especially when the client or the customer has a problem, a complaint, something they need help with. If they need to get in touch, many organizations will say, oh, we make it easy for you to contact us. We're all about delighting the customer. What was it like the last time you tried to get a refund from an online company who promises that accessibility? So making sure that as a PMO and project management practice, we are able to say, here's how to contact us, here's what you need to do, let's keep it really simple. Let's make it as pragmatic as we possibly can. The next one is friendliness. We love this one at Wellingtone. We're very friendly. I think it's written down as one of our values, friendly and fun. There should be a human-first approach to everything that we do in PMO and project management. One of the things I always say, and I will be repeating this, speak to the human before you speak to the role. It's a good life lesson. And lastly, efficiency. We all love efficiency, so making sure that we are technologically enabled appropriately with the tools like those that we've seen today is really going to help to make the whole experience better and more seamless for your customers. Some practical tips. First of all, you are a service provider. Accept it, move on. Next, take the time to understand your customer base. If you miss this step, you will fail in doing this and bringing these principles to life. Make sure you identify any external influence and how it can impact your journey. By external, I don't just mean what's happening in your external environment, but also what's going on inside your organization that could impact what you're trying to do. And lastly, Joel touched on this earlier, the human condition. How do people's egos play into that? Where does optimism bias come into play? You have to get a sponsor. Those of you that stayed for the session at lunchtime will have learned that the sponsor, according to the National Audit Office, is the single most important factor in success or failure of our projects. So if we're going to do this, we need to make sure that we've got somebody championing it right from the very start. Find out what our customer actually needs. This is one of the key exercises that I do when I do PMO training, is really understand what we need. Because value, needs, requirements, challenges are all very personal to the individuals in the room. We might all feel like we're on a very different journey, but actually we're similar in many ways, but our perception is different. So if we don't find out what do you need versus what do you need, we're never going to be able to deliver something that's actually going to help our customer base. Be brave. Say it out loud when things are going wrong or things aren't working. Build an engagement strategy and commit to it. That's the hardest bit of a lot of this, is actually committing to engagement and communications and community and all the stuff that we need to actually get things like this over the line. Cultural changes require commitment. You need to use your community, internal, external. You're all hopefully going to very soon be part of the Wellingtone community if you're not already. Use that community. There are loads of tools and things available externally, as well as what's going on inside your organizations. And know the customer journey. Put yourself in their shoes. Make yourself credible by understanding what their challenges really are. Now, for those of you who are in PMO, how many people have we got in actual PMO roles? Okay, so yeah. And then the rest of you probably delivery, leadership. Yeah, most of you nodding. Good, okay. So for those of you in PMO roles, be mindful of why PMOs fail. These are the reasons why PMOs fail. Role-specific expectations. This PMO doesn't do what I expected it to do. Okay? When you place employees and other stakeholders in the context of customer, it will transform your relationship. Embedding. The project managers won't use our stuff. Anybody heard that before? Anybody experienced that before? Yeah. Ask your customers, what's going to make your life easier? That's what we're here for. We're not here building templates for us. We're here making templates for you. So you tell us what's going to make your life easier. Gather feedback, allow them to collaborate, make it theirs. Getting to root causes. We find a problem. We are fully grown professional human adults, which means we're time poor, and so we go straight into solution mode. We don't actually get to the root cause of the problem most of the time. So take the time to identify the real pain points and their root causes and fix that. Don't just keep putting sticky plasters over what we think is a problem, and it's actually a symptom. Wrong type of PMO. Oh, we went for a program office and we needed a project office. Doesn't matter what you call it. Again, identify what your customers need, and you can call it whatever you want, as long as it does what your customers need. One of the things that can really help you with that, and I'm not going to go through this entire slide, this session is being recorded, so you will be able to view this whole session, is a customer journey map. A customer journey map helps us to understand the path and the channels that our customers use to get to our services, now and in the future. So this is both let's look at where we are today and where do we want to be. And that's how we create a journey map. It helps us to identify the best ways that we can interact with our customers, and it will highlight any gaps or any frustrations that they might have. And it helps to maximize the efficiency of that path, make it quicker, make it less clicks, maybe. And it's made up of a number of different components, which have to include, firstly, customer stages. For project management and PMO, we've called them awareness, consideration, a decision to use one of your services, because it is a decision to buy, effectively, if they are a customer, actually using that, and then the last one around loyalty, advocacy, wanting that next step. Customer touch points. What are the vehicles that people are using to get to you? Is it all on emails? Are we using an intranet hub? Are we using Microsoft Teams or something else? How are people getting to us? What are they experiencing in that? Are they experiencing frustration? Are they excited about finding out what else is available? Maybe some of you who are in delivery roles have felt some of both of those. Frustration, they're trying to control me, it's just bureaucracy. Oh, actually, this is quite exciting because everything's going better. The other thing that some organizations add are buyer personas, which is really a tool that those working in agile practices will already be familiar with. It's a composite, a representation of a market segment or a customer. And the last one is asking, what do we need to do to make this experience better? And by doing that, we're going to keep challenging ourselves. Just because we have a map doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean the journey is perfect. We need to continue that conversation. And one of the things that we can use to do that are our Wellingtone PMO principles. If we're not sure, this sounds very holistic. Emma, how the heck am I supposed to do that? What do I do next? Go back to the Wellingtone PMO principles, because these can really help you to kind of pinpoint the areas that you feel that's what we need to focus more on. That's where customer engagement management is going to really help us. These exist to define what makes a PMO, because we're all unique, we're all different. That's the reason why I love PMO. So it helps us to define if what we have in front of us is a PMO or if it's something else. So building that customer engagement strategy and ensuring it's aligned to those PMO principles and even our values, our vision, mission statements, really closes the circle in developing that customer-centric PMO. Some of the ways that we can do that, so if we look at the first, we are instruments of integration. We pull people, processes, information together So actually it can help us if we overlay that with customer engagement experience or management. We are able then to bring different customers together. We're able to integrate further and build that wider network. One of the ones I'm very passionate about is around supporting a learning organization. We suck at knowledge management as an industry. So this can, again, really help us to understand what part of the customer journey is, where is the knowledge sitting and what can we do about it. Human first. Speak to the human before you speak to the role. It's important for life and for project management. The APM's vision is a world where all projects succeed and project management is a life skill. Now, in this time when the world is attempting to recover from chaos, bringing our humans into the conversation and giving them the life skills to help them succeed in our industry and beyond is fundamental to our PMOs, particularly because we are working in most cases still in a dispersed fashion. Working as a service provider and taking the practices of customer experience management into your practice is going to enable you to reach your next PMO frontier. I promise you it will, if you commit to it. That, for you, might look like the next APM PMO award winners. It might look like getting a community together to collaborate a bit more and reduce some of the silos. It might be that just enough is just enough, and we'd just like to get projects recognized as projects. That's plenty for us right now. It doesn't matter what your next frontier is, it will still help you to reach it. So whatever it is, the one thing that stood out from my very initial conversation with our upcoming keynote, Helen Sharman, is how little we know about the world and the space around us. So don't assume I've been in the job for a while, so I know the answers. I know all there is to know. The chances are that there's something out there waiting to inspire you, to change you, to challenge you, and maybe this is it. Maybe this is the layer that we've all been missing, is actually treating our customers as though they were customers. As always, keep the conversation going internally and with Wellingtone through all of our communities, so I really hope that you all join. And thank you for listening, and I'm going to hand you back to Vince.
Ladies and gentlemen.